Welcome to the couch and the podcast, Heather Fusco.
Hi, thank you so much for having me all. I'm delighted to be here.
We are delighted to have you. You are just like such an interesting person, and like I follow your life like probably obnoxiously closely. So I'm really excited.
Yours, like that first bubble view.
No, literally, you're always my first bubble view.
Really?
But that's probably because I consume all your content.
Oh, well.
Priss and Vinegar. Before you get too far into the podcast, Priss and Vinegar is her Instagram and really internet persona.
Yes.
Right?
I mean, it started as a blog, then it became an Instagram. Now it's an Instagram and a website, soon to be a Substack.
Yes.
Yeah, it's become, a persona. I actually have a good friend who calls my husband Vinegar.
Oh, funny. Like you're Priss and he's Vinegar?
Which is funny because it's actually reversed, and I'm definitely like the spicier one, and he's like the sweet part of this pairing, but anyways.
I love it. Well, we're so happy to have you here. We have so many fun things to talk about. First and foremost, I just want you to give us your stats, and then we're going to like get rolling. So just for anyone who doesn't know you, give us your name, your age, your where you're from, what you do. Okay. And then we'll keep it rolling.
All right. So my name is Heather Davey Fusco. I am 46.
Wow.
I know.
Looks 18, but yes.
You're very sweet. And I am married to the most patient man on earth and have 3 beautiful children. I'm originally from California, and like I'm such a Californian.
Oh, yeah.
And yes, I mean, my children were 5th generation Northern Californians. Like we're so profoundly from there in San Francisco. And
wow.
So when we decided to move to Nashville 4 years ago, our family was shook.
I mean,
yeah. They're all still there. Most of the family's still there.
Actually, progressively, we're all working our way to the south.
Wow.
But I know.
Isn't that interesting how that happens? Like
Yes.
little, almost like diasporas, like families, they follow each other, you know? And then, yeah.
Were you the first?
We were first. And I think naturally after COVID, especially COVID in California, which was just like a lot of time to think about what your vision is and what you want life to be. And so that's when we decided to make a pivot. And it's been a total blast. I'm a content creator and writer, formerly a corporate lawyer.
Wow.
I know. Doesn't that go together? Corporate lawyer, fashion creator. I mean,
love it.
Crazy, right?
It's so crazy.
So yeah, I write Priss and Vinegar. I'm very active on my Instagram. Have a lot of fun there. Love recommending my favorite clothing, my favorite home decor. I love writing travel guides for places that we go, and just love it sharing whatever I think is kind of interesting and delightful.
Oh my God, you're so cute. Amazing. Like I can't take it.
How long were you a corporate lawyer?
Oh gosh, over a decade.
Wow.
I know.
A juxtaposition. I love that. Like, but you find this is becoming so much more. It's still not common, but you hear these stories and they're so beautiful to kind of unpack because it's like there's people in these very serious and kind of linear professions that are probably just very naturally creative and like want to express themselves and then kind of find themselves in the content creation or blogging space. And that is just, it's very inspiring. It's very cool.
Very inspiring. And I think that's there's so many reasons I wanted to have you on the show, but that's just in general, that is such a huge piece. Cause there's someone listening to this right now who's sitting at their desk. That's like, all I want to do is something creative and for myself and delightful. And I'm just like pushing papers around my desk and clocking in and out. And I think it's easier said than done and a privilege to make that jump, but people do it. So
totally. I mean, and it's interesting, right? I mean, I am old enough that when I graduated from college, like the internet didn't exist like it does now. I mean, people didn't have personal blogs. Instagram didn't exist yet. And I do wonder if at that time, had those things existed, would I have gone to law school? I'm not sure. I mean, I always had a deeply creative part of my soul, and I always wanted to write. My dream job was working at a fashion magazine in New York, like absolute dream job. But having spent my whole life in California, going to New York felt like moving to the moon. Like I just couldn't imagine doing it. So law school seemed like a nice, safe bet. And that's That's
Where'd
the
you go to
choice I
law
made.
school?
I went to UC Hastings in San Francisco.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I was always, I mean, from the time I was a small child, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and every time we went into San Francisco, I was like, this is it for me. I'm a city girl.
Yeah.
I had this vision of like my office downtown and getting coffee with my boyfriend on the way to work and like having lunch with my dad. And I don't know, I just had this kind of city future for myself that I wanted, and I really lived that in my 20s and into my 30s.
So you did live in San Francisco in your 20s?
I lived in San Francisco for 15 years.
I love it there.
I loved it, and you know, like everyone in San Francisco, we put our house on the market when we had our second kid.
Yeah.
Moved to the suburbs, and we lived in this really sweet town called Piedmont that is just magical. Oh, you're familiar with it? Yeah.
Yes, I think just from living in Seattle, and then I worked for a company that was based in San Francisco for a while. So like, and a couple friends from that area. So yeah, I know like enough of the little towns that I can give a, oh yeah.
I feel like all the executives at the one company I worked for in San Francisco lived in Marin. Does that check out?
Lots of people, yes. Yeah, we have family up in Marin too, in Mill Valley. And,
Yeah.
But you have to like be a downhill mountain biker there to live there.
Yeah.
Sure. It's mandatory.
Well, I think that's actually, that's a funny point you bring up, because I met Heather a couple years ago at this point at an event in Nashville. And two things I want to point out about meeting you, because you leave a very strong first impression. At least you did with me.
Very sweet.
You're like, hi, I'm Heather. I'm like, what? And I think it was a very simple exchange, like either what do you do or what, and that is something we're going to get into later, because Annie and I both struggle with the what do you do question. And you literally, without skipping a beat, I don't remember exactly what you said, but you said it without hesitating. You were like, my content is about like, and then you just said it, and it was just perfect and crisp, and like whatever you said, it stuck with me like enough that I was like, oh, like I've never heard anyone say that. And I'm like, you are like the definition of someone who like knows exactly what your brand is. And that's so hard to do and hard to find.
Can you give us the quick?
Do you remember what
pitch?
you said?
I wish I did, because I feel like I am constantly working on my elevator pitch.
Yeah.
You know, unlike a lot of content creators who very specifically do interior design
I know what you said.
or fashion. Pardon?
You said you were a tastemaker.
Oh yeah, you know what?
Oh,
I did.
That's what you said. Because I was like, I've never heard anyone say that.
Because I hate influencer.
Yeah.
And that's
Right.
like really, it's influencer is kind of like the antithesis of what I want to be. Like, I'm not interested in getting you to buy a bunch of Amazon dupes.
Right.
But if I could kind of show you like these are the things that I think are beautiful and cool and interesting, and if you like those things too, great, let's hang out and talk about it some more.
Yes.
Inspiration.
Yes.
More
Absolutely.
of the inspiration than influence. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's why when I started following you right away, I saw like you would just repost like just beautiful things, like a beautiful room with really interesting wallpaper, or just like and constantly just like bright, like brand affirming things, if that makes sense. And I feel like that's so hard to find, and it's really hard to curate, and that's what I love about you and your I keep saying the word brand, but that's really what it is. And then the other thing is that if you see Heather, she literally looks like a Southern or New England Polly Pocket. Like the fact when you told me you were from California, I didn't believe you. Like, or even especially from Northern California.
Yeah.
Like you're like preppy. Like would you like, I don't
Totally.
want to give you a label because you have a lot of different, you mix things up for sure, but you're super put together. You wear bows in your hair, you wear collars, you have your pearl earrings, and you don't sound Southern, but you have like a really Reese Witherspoon like way about your presentation. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not, everyone I know from Northern California is just like a mountain biker wearing a Patagonia fleece. Like that is not who you are at all. So I was really surprised that
Definitely. So like my mom's really preppy too. Like I definitely was like knee socks and bows and loafers and collared shirts. So that was certainly how she dressed us. But I also always had an affinity for preppy culture and kind of New England culture, which I think is why when I wanted to go to college out east, my parents wouldn't let me. They knew I'd like meet a boy and never come back.
Yeah.
So I did end up marrying a boy from the East Coast, but I just had to meet him in San Francisco.
That's not that uncommon.
Settle in the
My husband's a really interesting mix of like, he has that kind of East Coast formality. You know, he grew up going to cotillion, and he's a really good tennis player, and he wears a lot of, you know, bow ties and collars. But he also has like something that's really profoundly kind of casual and easy and relaxed about him. You know, I think California spoke to that. So when he moved to California, this was like 10 years before we met. I mean, instantly it just kind of spoke to his soul. And, you know, he's a really big skier. He loves skiing in Tahoe. He loves country music.
Oh, wow. He's so multifaceted, just like you.
Totally. No, I mean, I think we both feel comfortable in a lot of different spaces.
Okay.
And I think that's part of like what we connected over.
I love
for
that.
sure.
Well, I find Nashville to be a great place for all of that, because not
Totally.
saying you can ski and do all that here, just in terms
skiing.
of right, but like specifically Nashville proper, where I think a lot of people come to just find a mix of things, and it's just a comfortable place to live. So I think,
yeah, I love that. I've always identified very similarly of like being able to fit into a lot of different regions, groups, or whatever. And sometimes I get a little imposter of like, am I like a chameleon? Am I just like adopting other cultures? And then I'm like, well, no, I think it's just like I'm very fascinated by like, you know,
I think that's a good thing.
Seattleites, and then I'm fascinated by Nashvillians, and
But I also think we're both lifelong salespeople, and you kind of if you're going to be, you have to like be. It's almost like empathy in a way. Like you have to be able to, like you can't make strangers. You have to make friends. You can't be strangers with people. So.
Right.
I think it's also about like approaching places with curiosity.
Yes.
Like I'm always like interested to get to know, like going to new places and traveling, like getting familiar with and plugged into a new place. Like that's my favorite thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I agree with you.
So I've loved that about Nashville. Like I probably did research for 6 months before we actually like boots on the ground were living here, just about like restaurants and stores and culture and people. Like I was just curious.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really lovely way to go through life. But I also totally hear what you're saying, Annie. Like sometimes you wonder, you're like, which one of these is like the real me?
Yes.
And I think the answer is all of them.
I actually have this piece of very cheap art from Artfully Walls or one of those websites, but it says, I find home in love, not places.
Oh, I love
Because it's like
that.
a common identity crisis for me, because like I'm from Ohio, but my parents aren't from there. They're very like Chicago and New Jersey, and then like moved to Seattle and became very Seattle, but then moved to the South. So yeah, it's something in my mind all the time of like, what am I?
I love that though, because like I said, you could just relate to everyone. And I love what you just said about curiosity. I think one of the biggest turnoffs when I talk to someone who's like, oh, you're from New York. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Like,
People
oh, so you must
that?
like kind of, or just like that attitude of
Here.
like, well, not even just anywhere. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like they already make us, I'm like, yeah. And like, you know, it doesn't mean you're mean or rude. It just means it's where I'm from. And like, I think also people think wherever they're from is like correct. Do you know what I mean? A lot of times I find that like the way we talk, the way we do things. Wait, you've never had this place? You're not a fan of this football team? I'm like, no, like there's other places. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love like meeting, when you said like meet people with curiosity about where they're from, and like I completely agree. Well, that was a fun little
Yeah, I love those.
Love that little tangent. Tell us about, I really want to, because I don't know this part of your story. How did you flip from lawyer to blog? Because that happened a while ago.
Well, it's kind of, there was some overlap. So I was doing kind of corporate law at firms, did that for several years, super miserable, ended up going in-house for kind of a family real estate investment company, where I got to work kind of on more of a contract basis. And kind of around that time was when I met my husband. We got married pretty quickly, bought a house, you know, we're expecting our first child. And that was when I started Priss and Vinegar. I just had this yearning for a creative outlet, and this kind of meeting of all of these times in my life where it was like setting up my first proper house and, you know, preparing a nursery for my child and being a wife, all of these new things that I felt like I've been looking forward to for so many years were happening. And I just wanted to write about it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And we both love to write. Annie does it more like, I want to say professionally, because that's what we're aspiring here for.
Yes.
And I've always loved to write too. And that's why, actually, friends at home, I'm in the presence right now of the only 2 blogs that I actually read every single week.
Wow.
I'm very flattered.
Yes, I read all of your posts, and I read all your Substacks. So that's Maybe I should start one.
Yeah.
Because I miss writing. It's such an outlet. People used to hire me they didn't pay me, but they would ask me to write their recommendation letters or their college essays. And so, like, I just like had I had a formula.
Ooh.
I have been asked to write so many people's professional recommendation letters, and I always take that as such a huge compliment.
It is.
Yeah, that is. Real quick, going back to the transition.
Yes.
Did you have some #haters? Did you have some
Oh,
people
yeah.
that were like, you can't leave law? Like, if you leave, you can't come back. Did you have that kind of...
Well, I wasn't really leaving. Like, I literally was still, like, doing kind of law part-time, like on a contract basis, and writing Prison Vinegar. And I did that for a while. And Prison Vinegar was always really, truly, it was such a side project. I'd write when I had time. There were some points where I went completely fallow and I just didn't write for like years.
Oh.
And I missed it and I was sad about it. And people would always ask, like, is it coming back? When are you going to ever start writing the blog again? And I was busy. I had babies. And when I did have time, I was still doing some law on the side. And I was just leaning into like that mom season of life. Yeah. And there was
when they were babies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was like I was doing a little law, I was doing a little bit of writing, but mainly I was momming really hard.
Yeah. And just like keeping it all together and no real like intentionality maybe between like how often you're posting or how often you're writing or whatever. Yeah.
I really wanted there to be. And there was a point where I relaunched the blog when my kids, I think they were like 2 and 4. And I was like, okay, like I feel like maybe I have time now. And I could never get momentum. It was just so hard to commit when I still had little kids.
That's inspiring for us.
Very inspiring, because I think just where we're at societally, where younger people are starting to like aspire to be content creators, I think sometimes there's a false belief that it's something you just like snap your fingers, declare, and it happens. Yeah. When in reality, it's like, I love that word fallow, like SAT word, girl. Good job. Yeah. Lawyers, man. Those vocab.
They know their words.
They know their words. But yeah, it's like, it is not linear. It's just like it ebbs and flows, and you have to find the time. And especially when you're momming so hard, it's like there's going to be times where you just don't have any inspiration too. Yeah. Your inspiration is your kids.
Well, and and it's funny, like I started Prison Vinegar when we lived in San Francisco, and I felt so inspired by San Francisco. I would just get out in the city and walk, and I loved it. And when we made the move to the suburbs, it was funny. Like, I loved Piedmont, and Piedmont was so beautiful, and it was such a great life for our family. But I felt creatively a little lost when we were there.
Totally.
And I can't exactly put my finger on it. I don't know what it was, but I think it was just me in my head. I felt like I'd lost my point of view.
Interesting.
And I remember telling a friend that we had dinner with right before we came to Nashville, I said, I have a feeling that like this fresh point of view, being this like kind of fish out of water, Californian moving to the South, which is a place I'd always been curious about. Like, I have a lot of admiration for Southern hostesses and Southern style and entertaining. I'm like, I had an inkling that point of view was going to be like something good for me in the Prison Vinegar space.
I love that.
Interesting.
Did we talk, I know that people are going to yell at us if we don't ask this, how you came up with the name Prison Vinegar?
Everyone asks, and I don't have a good story anymore.
Yeah.
So
It's
when
just,
I
like,
started the
really good words.
blog, like in 2011, when everyone started blogs, they were all something and something. It was like sugar and spice and cupcakes and cashmere.
Oh, that's right.
So I was trying to think of my something and something. And I thought of Prison Vinegar, and I loved that it was a pun and it felt appropriate for me. I called my husband, and like I was like, I thought of it. I was in the car or something, and I was like, I've got the name. And before I got home, he'd already bought me the domain.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. That's so sweet.
I know. Wow. So I've owned the
mensch.
domain for a really long time. Like, I actually owned it for a year before I even started writing on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, I really hope everyone has followed this timeline that we hear of. Number one, Heather's 46, which is not old, but it's not necessarily the time. But it's like not the time people usually start their blog, right? And you didn't start. But also, I don't know if anyone caught this, 2011 is when you started. We're in the year 2025.
Yes.
You've been at this for a while.
That. Hold on. 2025.
That's it. 2025.
Okay.
Fact checked. And Heather's been doing this, like it's you've been at it. It doesn't happen overnight, and you're still at it.
Yes. I mean, there were lots and lots of fits and starts, and it was always there. I always knew it could be something, but when I had time, and I just didn't have time until truly my youngest started kindergarten. And there is no magic to the fact that Priss and Vinegar took off a year and a half ago when my youngest started kindergarten.
Right.
It's because I finally had time.
Yeah.
That's so fair.
And I wish that younger me could have been more patient, because I feel like I had a lot of angst, feeling like if I don't start this soon, if I don't get going soon, it's never going to happen. Like, who wants to like read a fashion blog from like a 45-year-old woman? Turns out a lot of people.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
So much rather.
Thank you for saying that. That's so inspiring, because I do think there's this mid-30s, like, we're just freaking hard on ourselves in your mid-30s. Like, we think we're like expiring, but you're not at all. But also, you're in the hardest part of your life. Likely you have small children. Like, if you're going to have kids, they're likely small in your mid-30s-ish or maybe early 40s. And it's like, didn't Tom Hanks just come out and say, like, 35 was the worst age for everyone? Why don't we talk more about that? Do you remember this viral clip?
Yes, yeah.
He was like, you don't have the time. You're either so busy in your career or raising kids that you don't have the time to take care of your body. You don't have the time to like pursue anything creative. And it's true. It's a grind. Like 35 to 40 just seems like, you're just like hyper myopic.
And you have nothing left in you, like, because your tank is all like managing small children. And it's not in the way that it's like, just even like your soul is depleted. Like, I don't even have the bandwidth to think of being creative, because I'm like helping with a second grader, like the homework and the struggles of making friends and the like everything. It's not just time. It's like truly like capacity.
And your brain's scattered. I feel like you go to the playground and you're trying to talk to like a cool new mom friend, and you can't string together more than 3 sentences before somebody falls down or wants a snack or needs to go to the bathroom. And I think I finally have enough consistent time where my brain can function.
Right.
Where I can have ideas and feel creative and like sit down and have chunks of time. Like, I'm no longer living my life in like a 3-hour block that preschool is happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very
true. And the
true.
pressure of that 3-hour block.
To like work out, groceries, see a friend.
Done.
Oh, you're doing, I mean, it like goes like this.
Yes.
You waste 15 minutes talking to people on the way in, the way out. Like, just.
So when you moved here, did you know anyone?
I knew my realtor, and and we knew one couple who we'd met in San Francisco, who were already kind of good friends, have become very dear friends. But truly, other than them, not a soul. We knew no one.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I mean, we were the same way, but we were pregnant with our first. So it was, I feel like that's like, well, I don't know. I guess you meet people when you go to school, but we were literally entering into parenthood as we were moving. So it's like, all right, we're going to meet people through this.
And you do. No, I mean, it's different. And we'd already done that, right? We already had the friends we met at baby group and preschool and like kindergarten first day, a drop off with our oldest. I mean, we'd done that. And we had such an like intensely kind of wonderful and close community back in California. That was the part about moving where we're like, is this insane? Like, you can't just recreate that overnight. Like, that's not a fungible good, that feeling of community. So
fungible.
I know.
I love it.
Sorry, guys.
No, we love
Get your
this.
thesauruses out for this podcast.
I love talking to lawyers. I will walk away with like 6 new words today.
100%. And I knew Annie and Heather had not met up until like an hour ago.
Oh, viewers, I'm getting an Amazon delivery. Don't worry about it.
Yes. If you see behind
Sorry, my car's like blocking them, guys.
Oh, no.
Whoops.
But I knew Annie was going to love Heather's vocab. Like, I know, because you really do. Like, I love the way you write. I love the way your voice is very clear in your writing, and yours is too. That's why I knew like it would be an easy conversation today. So this is the first time we've actually ever invited a guest that we would like to put to work ever.
Yeah.
So one thing we wanted to have Heather weigh in on, and even though I did kind of prepare you for this, no pressure if you're like, I have no idea what to tell you. But one thing I look up to you about is like what I said. I'm like, you're so clear about who you are, what your brand is. Like, a good example, I will message Heather and say, hey, I really want a pair of pants. This was a real story and I'm wearing the pants right now. Spoiler alert. But I'm like, I want a pair of pants. I have a lot of denim. I don't want a trouser. And she literally sent me 2 options. 1, 2. This one from Citizens and this one from Ann Mashburn, who I believe is like your favorite brand I'd never heard of before you, and now I look at their stuff a lot.
Really? Have you been to their store yet in Germantown?
No, it's like
They have a store now?
They just opened in November. Isn't that exciting?
I want to go see it.
It's fabulous. And the Sid side for the
men.
men in your life, guys, buckle up.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Wait,
Wow.
Sid, what'd you
One-stop
say?
shopping. Sid Mashburn. So that's Ann's
Sid and
husband.
Ann.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't even know of this. Do you know this company?
Oh, yes. Okay. I never like realized they were like I've seen them separate from one another. If that makes anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
This is blowing my mind. Okay.
Yes, but no, like, yes, I'm a huge fan of the brand. Love working with them. Like, it's like such, after being a fan of the brand for so many years, like, it's such like a privilege to get to work with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. We're going to have to go to that store in Germantown. I love that they're opening like these boutiques too, like in different neighborhoods.
Makes this feel really big time here.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
But back to my original point, like it's something like brand building was my first impression of you. Like, wow, you know exactly who you are, what your brand is. It is unique because even though there's plenty of homemaker, tastemaker, fashion forward, travel forward bloggers and creators, I do find yours to be unique because of
Very curated, just perfectly curated. Like
Yes.
you have such a strong brand identity.
And I love that you will even say things like, Amazon, if you're here for Amazon dupes, I'm not for you. Like, that is not what we're here for. Like, those are a dime a dozen. Like, just, you know, and they are, but that's not what you do. And I love that. So Annie and I are in this area of life. I just turned 37. She just turned 36. So we are both this like, we're at that perfect, really hard on ourselves age of like career wise, creative wise, little kids and everything. And all I want to be when someone says, what do you do? I literally freeze up. And by the way, I sell software full time, but we don't need to talk about that. That's not what I'm talking about. I know what I do. But when I talk about like my brand, like but I'm like, I'm not like a makeup artist. I'm not like a makeup influencer. I don't know what to say. And Annie kind of has the same thing with her aspirations, which is more around comedy writing and comedy writing.
Yeah.
Right? Like comedy period, writing period.
Comedy
writing.
Period.
Yeah.
So what is some of your advice you would give to people like, let's just say us, who want to be a little more clear around our brand?
So I would say like one of the best things I have going for me is I'm super decisive. Like I do not waffle about things, and maybe there were 15 other pairs of pants that could have also been good for you, but I'm like, nope, these 2 now.
And you're like, these 2, they're good on everyone.
Yes.
They're flattering, they're true, or whatever. Like you just knew exactly what to tell me, and then I bought one of them. And I'm probably going to buy the other ones eventually.
Do it.
Yeah.
No, but I think I'm decisive, which helps. Also, too, and this is something I've been working on for a really long time, you have to say confidently for yourself who you are and what you're doing. Because for the longest time, people would be like, what do you do? And be like, oh, I have a little blog. Like the way I talked about it was so gross and so dismissive. And it was definitely, I mean, not to like throw out the name of your like, you know, podcast here, but like I had imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I didn't feel really confident in what I was doing. I hadn't gotten to a level of success or consistency where I felt really good about what I was doing, and the way I conveyed that to the world telegraphed that. So you have to stop that right now, guys.
Yep.
Stop it right now.
I'm like, I just have like this Substack and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like how I talk about myself.
Right.
Yeah.
No, literally. It's like you're right. It's almost like this like, I don't want to say self-fulfilling prophecy manifestation cycle of like, you kind of have to fake it till you make it, right? And the way you posture about it.
Yes.
Right? Like but I feel like working on my like one-liner or my elevator pitch is something I really, really need to do. And like, do you know like what some of the things were that helped you come to that?
I mean, I have been refining my message for a really long time, obviously. But also, like, you just have to decide. Like, you don't know this, but at that same event I met you at, I was talking to someone else, and they asked me what I did, and I said I was a tastemaker, and I have an Instagram, and they wanted to see my Instagram. And I showed it to them, and I think at the time I maybe had 2,000 followers. And this person's like, oh, I have a friend who's on Instagram too, but she's like a real influencer. She has like 50,000 followers. And I was like, oh, that stung. She wasn't wrong, but like, you have to like, who says that? That was gross. But also, like, you just have to, like, roll through that.
Right.
You just have to keep going and be like, you know what? Like, I can't be it if I don't just try to live it. And I feel really good about where I am 2 years later. And I'd love to see that person again.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to ask you who it was when we get out of here. That is crazy. And now I'm wishing I told you in the moment how much I was impressed, because I could have counterbalanced that night for you.
You know what? It's okay. And like, it's all part of the journey. And like, you have to decide for yourself. I think like, look, for you, like, you just need to say like, I'm a content creator in the beauty space. Or so you can say, if you like tastemaker, say I'm a beauty tastemaker.
I love that.
Oh,
say that.
You are.
A beauty tastemaker.
Yeah.
So when I think about what the thing I love to do, you'll love this, Heather. So Annie just had a adult like not sleepover party, but for her birthday over the last weekend, she invited like 20 women here from all areas of her life. And she asked everyone to wear sweatpants or pajamas, like to make it like a cozy house party.
Fun.
She had like
That
signature,
message got really missed. But.
yeah, signature cocktails. And then she asked everyone to come and do like show and tell. So like it was so fun. And she had everyone like anything. And of course, some people had like a flat out panic attack, but I was like, oh, I'm like, I have like 10 things I want to do.
Yeah. Joelle was like all week, like, I don't know. Should I just do them all?
Yeah.
And everyone else was like, Annie, I'm going to throw up and die when I get up there. Yeah.
So, when one of the things, so what I ended up doing, I was going to do like a live contour tutorial, but I was like, that's like low hanging fruit. I did a PowerPoint on how to look good in pictures.
Can I have it?
Yes.
It was very helpful.
And I loved everyone's reaction. And in those moments, there's been many moments like that where when I see a woman who is like, I don't want to say of a certain age. What I mean is not a young woman, like a non-Gen Z woman.
Okay.
Learn how to re-embrace her confidence, whether that's through makeup or just through like kind of knowing her life isn't over, or like showing up as her like self now, and that maybe that's after a divorce or after, I don't know, anything.
Yeah.
That is truly what I feel like my life's work is. Like to make women feel confident at a time when they feel a little lost.
Oh my gosh, you just wrote your elevator pitch.
Do you think that's what it is?
You need to like go write that down.
I know, but that's like
Turn it into
that's
one
too
line.
long. I need one line.
Edit. You just need to edit.
GPT.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
don't
I
do
know.
it. Oh,
I know.
guys.
Should we have that in our game?
Oh yes.
Yes, or-
okay.
anyway.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then all right, Annie, you go.
yes.
And then
come up with,
Annie,
like,
for you, I would say like, I mean, are you performing comedian or you just want to write comedy? Like, tell me, like, what's your vision?
I aspire to perform, and what I've learned is going back to the like, you know, this stage of our lives with kids.
Yeah.
It is truly the grind you kind of see as Hollywood portrays it, and that you go and sign up for open mic nights, but you're not going to get picked every time.
Yeah.
So I've gone like a handful of times, not been picked yet, which is not like personal. It's just like they pick based on, you know, who signed up. They pick based on like they need a it's
And she like gets a sitter on a Wednesday night at 10 o'clock to do this.
So you're a comedian and you're a writer. You need to just say that. Not just be like, oh, I have a Substack.
Okay.
Just be like,
Just
I'm a
say-
comedian and a writer. You can find my writing on my Substack.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Here it
And
is.
where are you doing comedy? Be like, I'll let you know.
Okay, I like that.
TBD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Working on my dates now.
Okay. Okay.
Working on my tour. You should actually start. So she has done.
Should I just do my own tour in my own living room?
Yes, the living room tour, because she will, if she has
love
people
it.
over 10 people,
Yeah.
she'll do it. Like she'll do her set.
Wait, that's incredible. Do you realize how much confidence that takes?
Thank you.
I'm obsessed with that. That
Thank
terrifies
you.
me.
It took you a long time.
Alcohol helps, but
It does.
it took me a very long time. So much imposter syndrome in this woman here, but I did realize too, I kind of started there. I wanted to go backwards because I do believe that stand-up comedy is one of the hardest things, not hardest like adversity, but just hardest goes against.
It's the hardest art form.
Hardest art form. It
Yes.
goes against everything in your human nature to want to go do that. And so I need to like cut my teeth and do that. But I'm also like, it's so hard to perform for people you know. Just like it's hard to perform for coworkers.
Yeah.
It's so much harder to present. Like when I was in corporate America, when I had to do a presentation for my coworkers, I was way more nervous than when I was going to meet with like the CMO of Nike, you know?
Yeah.
So I think about that a lot. And I was like, okay, if I can do it in front of like acquaintances and friends who I know will also tell me a joke sucked, that maybe will really help me be ready when I finally do get chosen.
I love that.
But then I think about like The Marvelous Miss Maisel, that show, and I'm like, she just kind of did living rooms for a while. So maybe we're onto something.
Yes.
Didn't you love that show?
Oh, so
the
good.
style. And like, I'm
Everything.
an Amy Sherman Palladino fan forever. Like, I think she's so brilliant.
Yes.
Like Gilmore Girls.
Yep.
I dressed up with my daughter, not this Halloween, but last Halloween, as Lorelai and Rory.
Stop.
Oh, it was the fact that my daughter at 12 wanted to do a matching Halloween costume with me.
That
you
is
guys.
goals right there. That is.
She's the best.
Oh my
Yes.
God, she's so cute. She's a mini you for sure.
Wait, real quick though.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to do like the icebreakery one because I'm always fascinated by this,
Okay.
especially someone with your like corporate legal track. What was your whole life, not just like
Yes.
post college? What was your first or worst job?
Oh yeah, we skipped over
Oh,
that.
okay. So I love this. So I'll tell you my first job. It was a cute first job. There's a frozen yogurt store mini chain in the Bay Area called Yogurt Park, and that was like
I've had it.
Stop it.
Yes,
It's very good.
it's got like a cult kind of following there.
Sure does.
Yeah.
It was the cool teenage girl job to get.
Wow.
Growing up in the Bay Area. So that was my first job. I was 16. My parents didn't want me to get a job. They're like, look, would you like money for something? Like, don't worry about it. Like, school's your job.
Right.
School's your job. And I just had this yearning for some scrap of independence.
Ooh.
So I did it anyways. And I mean, I think I made like $4.45 an hour, like minimum wage. And it was so fun, like blending yogurts. And
Do you think you could still throw down?
oh, for sure. I can still, like, I know how to do like a swirl and use the blending machine and do all the things, do a side by side. Oh,
That's
yeah.
so cute.
Wow.
What was your order?
My personal order, I'm so lame. I love a chocolate and vanilla swirl with Butterfinger crumbles.
What's wrong with that?
That's the dream.
You weren't like, I want like low fat, sugar free, tasteless vanilla
Gross.
yogurt. Yeah.
No, thank you.
That's another thing I love about you. You're not like a low fat, like you eat, right?
Yes, I do.
You eat real food.
I mean, but like, I will be so real, and I've had people who know me from high school give me a little bit of heat about this, that I need to reveal my body privilege.
Okay.
I have a very fast metabolism.
Okay, whatever, but you're not
Reveal
someone.
your body privilege.
No, seriously, I did a post about fitness. People ask me all the time about like diet and fitness and what I'm doing. Just as like a midlife woman, I am not like a fitness and like nutrition content creator. Like I'm in no way inspirational, but people have asked. So I shared. And one time she's like, I think people should know they won't get your results if they do this because they don't have your body type.
I think people should just use their like common sense and know that.
I'm
I
like,
would
sorry, I
not-
didn't check my body privilege. Yes.
No,
I have a fast metabolism. My parents are thin people. Like,
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
fine,
yeah, yeah.
great.
so I can eat.
But also like you don't, even if you want, like you're not like chalking down. You're not making like protein cottage cheese waffles. Like which I love. I love people who are still just eating really good food.
That I chalk up, you correct me if I'm wrong, that I chalk up to like, I found people from the Bay Area just have an appreciation for food.
Well, it's because it's like some of the
Yes.
best food in the country.
Yes.
Yes, for sure. And like my grandparents, you know, had raised their family in San Francisco, but then retired to Sonoma. And I just remember being in my grandparents' kitchen, and they would go to like farmers markets and just, they always cooked just whatever was in season and fresh and lovely. And not because it was what Alice Waters was doing, because that's how they just always cooked. And I just loved being in my grandmother's kitchen and seeing all of, like, she used, you know, whole fat butter and beautiful local fresh ingredients. And it was just simply like unfussily prepared. And I don't know, I think that infuses kind of my food culture for me. For sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful food culture in Northern
Oh
California.
my gosh. I think like being from New York, there are very few things that impress me food wise, and like bury me in Napa Valley, like with that food scene and wine scene, like bury me there. Like it is truly my happy place. I love it there so much.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure we're keeping track of time because I want Heather to live with us, but it's not going to happen today. So we want to play a game with you.
Okay.
Now, I know you're all going to go follow Heather after this, and you'll see how just like kind of beautifully curated, and like you're not afraid to say like, I don't think that this is right in this like scenario, or like not that you shame it, but like for example, I love we actually had a moment over this conversation about like dressing up for the theater.
Yes.
Like because people I still think it's something. If you go to Broadway in New York, even here, anywhere, but especially on Broadway in New York, people wearing sweatpants, I'm like, you should not be allowed in.
I didn't know that happened. Everybody...
Your venue, for sure.
Yeah.
So I feel like I like how you're committed to like kind of whatever you feel is like kind of a yay or nay.
Totally, right? But that will be clear. That is my thing. I will have friends now who will run into me and they're like, oh, I'm wearing yoga pants. And I was like, you do you, sister.
Yes.
Yeah. For me, it's not that this is for everybody else. It's just for me.
Just for
I don't want to roll around wearing yoga pants. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Live your Lululemon life, friends. Do whatever you want. Like,
well, that's the perfect segue.
Like
actually,
they're not on like a won't engage list because they're wearing.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So, and something else, because like stuff you say really does stick with me when you called something street legal pajamas recently. I loved that.
I was wearing them this morning.
Were you?
Yes.
What were they, Lake?
They are Lake pajamas. They have a casual lounge set that is they are buttery and delicious. And I'd forgotten about them for a second until a friend texted me this morning and said, oh my gosh, they just arrived. I'm obsessed. So I actually went to go get my nails done. And they are the perfect mani-pedi clothes.
Ooh.
Okay.
You know when you wear jeans and they're like jamming the jeans up over your calves?
Yes.
Oh, it's the worst.
Yeah. But when you called them street legal pajamas, I'm like, I love that. It's just so catchy.
Yeah.
I hate the term word porn because I don't like, but you kind of have that way.
Thank you. That's a compliment.
So we're just going to call this, is this piss and vinegar approved or rejected?
Okay.
And remember that since I'm a comedian, if there's any of these that you don't want to say, you can just say pass and we'll cut it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tried to keep it pretty tame.
Yeah, these are pretty tame.
So wait, what am I saying? Am I saying pass or yay or nay or approved? Oh, wait, there's piss and vinegar
Approved or rejected.
You know what? I've said that before. The piss and vinegar approved. Remember when people tied sweaters crossbody for like a second?
Yeah.
You hate that?
Last fall, and I was like, that is stupid. You end up with like a boob on either side. It was so weird.
Oh yeah, I figured that one out quick. I figured that out quickly. Did it once and was like, wait a second.
No.
Correct.
No.
The only time I would ever do that is if it were like one shoulder was really sweaty and I just needed some air in it,
Yeah.
Okay. This is actually a perfect segue. Athleisure outside of a workout.
I mean,
Rejected.
It's rejected.
It's
friends.
rejected.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I love it. Black Friday sales. I know.
And you can elaborate if you want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be one word.
I literally have it saved in Canva. I have what I say whenever people are shopping sales, which is like go into shopping sales with like a few things in mind. Have a shopping list of the things that you want. And if it's not on the list, you're not buying it. Also, like if you don't absolutely love it, like have to have it, love it, it's a no.
Okay.
And don't buy something just because it's a good deal.
Okay.
I love that. It was a little of a leading question because I've heard you give that advice before, but yeah. I just like that mentality of like, I have a hard time spending full price when I know something's going to go on sale.
Totally.
That's hard.
Then just put it in your cart though.
Right.
Like
I have a note.
Well, that's what I mean by having a list. Have a shopping list.
I have an evergreen shopping list.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, do that and use Notes app in my phone.
That's
it's my
it.
most used and most beloved app.
Same.
Keep a note of like the stuff that's on your shopping list.
Yeah.
So when you go to Black Friday shopping, have that list or have your shopping list for your family for the holidays that you have in front of you. But honestly, I find Black Friday, really overwhelming.
Yeah.
So
We're still good.
am typically like a no for me personally,
Yeah.
but if that feels good for you,
I think that was a good.
stick to your list.
Yep.
Stick to your list.
Okay. Old oversized t-shirts worn as like pajamas.
I hate that so much.
Excellent.
I love that.
I sleep in a nightgown every night like I'm 100-year-old woman, you guys, and I have like such a collection. And Mashburn makes really good Liberty print ones that are beautiful. There's this English brand I recently discovered called If Only If that makes exquisite romantic nightgowns that are gorgeous. I also really love Hill House and Lake. They make great jammies too.
Can't go wrong with Hill House. I love Hill House because we've talked about this, but it really is flattering on everyone and very comfortable.
Yeah.
But you sleep in the nap dress,
That's
right?
the thing. Like I'm truly a napper in the nap dress.
Yeah.
I don't wear them out of the house. My daughter does. Like she loves the nap dresses
They're so comfortable.
They are, and I think comfort is a priority for 13-year-olds especially. So I think that's why that's become a happy place for us.
Got it.
I love that. And they do have good sales and they are size inclusive and
size inclusive. That's really nice.
And generationally inclusive. They have I can get for my girls too.
Yep.
Tattoos.
I'm so sorry, you guys. Like, just never, ever.
Never.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I love these. I kind of like knew some of this. Okay, this will be interesting. Wine in anything other than a wine glass. Like, okay, let's just say it's not. You're not serving people at a party.
Okay. That's a very important caveat because I'm like at a party, of course. I would say the only time I would do it not in a wine glass is like if it's a roadie and I'm trick-or-treating with my children on Halloween.
Love that.
Like plastic cup.
Yep.
I have some really cute ones that a friend got me that say like Belle Meade roadie on it that are adorable. That
That's
have
cute.
Wagoneers on them. They're precious. Or if you're doing like a really chic Spanish table, like little tumblers. Like I think,
I love
you know how like we go to like a European cafe and they'll give you like a tumbler with your carafe of wine?
Yeah.
I think that can be very chic.
Okay.
Agreed. Now, what about? I'm going to take this one up
All right.
a level.
Ooh.
What about like a cocktail in a coupe in a non-coupe or non-cocktail glass, like something, because I feel like you're a cocktail family. You and your
Yes,
husband.
my
Your husband's like-
husband.
he's like the cocktail guy, right?
And guys, I didn't even marry him because he could do this. This was
Wow.
an after marriage hobby he cultivated. It could have been such a selling point, right?
Right. Yeah.
I'm obsessed with it. It's like my favorite thing.
He's like you got your own mixologist.
He's truly, it makes it hard to go out for cocktails because his are better than like 99%
Really?
of what I can get out. Yes.
What's he making? Like, what's his thing right now? Or what's your favorite thing currently?
Well, I mean, the thing he makes for me so well that's hard to get out of the house is a really perfect martini. And I like my martinis like ice cold, dirty, and with jalapeno olives, which most places don't have. So my
Right.
sweet husband got me little jars, you guys, on Amazon. I have a crate of jars, and I will put 2 olives and the brine in it, and I take it with me
No,
to.
you don't.
Yes, I do. So far, I've only had the balls to do that at Sperry's because they know me. So I like bring my jar and I'm like, make me my martini.
I went there last night.
I love the bar at Sperry's.
It's really a special place.
It is.
It is.
That is so funny because that's like the classier version of like bringing ranch for your pizza.
Yeah.
correct.
You know what I mean? Like,
correct.
yeah.
So I do that. What else does he make? His perfect Mai Tai is so good.
Wow.
The recipe is on my blog. It literally is the origin of our holiday party, which is a Mele Kaliki Maca holiday party.
Oh my God.
Started as like a just for fun with our friends in California, like everyone dress up and we'll serve Mai Tais and crab rangoon. And this year we had like almost 100 peoples and
Wow.
100 peoples. Can I talk? 100 people and like a caterer and bartenders. And now it's become this like big thing.
Wow.
Cool.
That's very cool.
A Mai Tai is so, I don't want Mai Tais to get like lost, you know? Like,
We must save the Mai Tai.
we must save the Mai Tai.
Oh, and well, this is a longer story, but that was the whole thing. He wanted to recreate the original Trader Vic's Mai Tai. Like, there's actually no fruit juice in it. It tastes fruity, but it's like a specific kind of mix of very precise liquors and mixers and things that make it special. And so he did a deep dive, recreated it, and that's what we serve.
He's like a national treasure. He's like saving a national treasure, the Mai Tai.
That's right. Larson's a hero for so many
a
reasons,
hero.
including that one.
Oh my God. If he had time, I'm sure he doesn't. I'm sure he's probably a busy guy.
He is, but I mean...
He should have his own cocktail page.
Oh, believe me, like I feature him regularly on
Yeah.
the blog, and I
Well,
keep
that's how I
telling him
know
all the
about
time.
it, yeah.
He should be like, you know how Julia Berolsheimer's husband is like into gardening,
Yes.
and he has this whole. I'm like, Larson, you should have your like cocktail thing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's like really good stuff. I mean, the Sober Curious, we all read the same article, I think.
Oh, I
About-
hated that article.
I don't want to talk about it.
I
The
don't
one that's
either.
like, you're going to die if you drink.
Oh, yeah.
That one recently.
Yeah.
Woof.
I'm still like actively ignoring it, to be honest with you.
Same. I'm in
Everything's good
denial.
for us.
Yeah.
Correct.
You know what else is going to kill me? Stress. So.
True.
Totally.
Okay, wait, because this is in the same vein.
Yes.
Paper plates.
I also hate those so much.
Do you?
Never.
So paper plates for me are like if I'm having an event that's so big that I just don't want to deal with, and it would have to be pretty big, or if I'm entertaining children.
Right.
Okay, cool. I wanted that seal of approval for children, personally.
Oh yeah, but you know what? But don't get like cheesy Chinette ones. You can get like the nice thick. There's like sustainable ones. There used to be this brand. It was on like Shark Tank. I'm not sure it exists anymore. It was called Susty Party, and they made these incredible compostable plates in beautiful colors, and they were nice and sturdy. They were awesome.
Oh, that's good to know.
They used to sell them at Whole Foods. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I know
You
what you're
haven't
talking
seen them
about.
around.
I haven't seen them around, but also they might just not be in Nashville.
Okay.
True.
We don't get everything here.
Truth.
We don't. What about cursing?
Oh my gosh. Artfully cursing is like my goal in life.
Oh, I was gonna
yeah.
say I feel like you don't curse. No.
Oh my gosh.
You do. Okay.
But you don't in your content.
I try not to. I think I do a lot of like F *** K.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try not to use it in my content because I think that some people really don't care for it.
Yeah.
And I try to respect that. I like only drop one if I really need to in my writing, but in my everyday life,
Yeah, they happen.
oh sure.
Love that for us.
Sure.
I love that for all of us.
Yep.
Here's a nice southern one I threw.
All right,
in
I
here.
love this. Yes, please.
Like, what do you think about really large cross necklaces?
I mean, I think that people who wear it with a sincere spirit of like wanting to like express their faith, like love that for them. I don't think it's fashionable.
Okay.
I would say. I mean,
It's a beautiful answer.
That is a beautiful answer. I wear many, but of my little Jewy things, but they're tiny. Like I have nothing. I love
my little Jewy.
Yeah, I got my chai. I have my Star of David, but I do like any religion. Like I like a dainty piece. If you're gonna do it, a dainty piece I like.
I think in general, I'm a dainty jewelry girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what about necklaces that say mama?
I truly hate those guys. I'm so sorry.
Hate.
It's like we know, we see your kids. It's fine.
Right.
Mama Bear.
It's also just really unoriginal.
Yeah.
I feel like say something funnier than
Yeah.
that, or like something more interesting.
And to me, there's like a motive of special treatment behind it. There's like a.
Oh, you think they're like, I'm a mom, like it's a handicap placard?
I do.
Oh, wow.
I do.
They want to pass for what?
Like-
Not cleaning up under their table at a restaurant?
Yes. Or
Gross.
just like, oh, I'm late. I'm so busy. I'm a mama. And it's like,
Oh, ew.
okay, so I'm really glad you said.
No, I just think they're cheesy. Like, think
So
of something
cheesy.
better to do.
That is the I mean, that's in the same brand to me as like Girl Boss mug.
Oh, woof.
You know what I mean?
You know what my favorite big mug says, and I found it through, there's a upholsterer here in Nashville. Her handle is Coventry Lane Upholstery. She does amazing work. I could never get into her. Like, it's all like interior designers only. She has a mug she posted once that says "Kick today in the dick." See, I just used a bad word, guys.
I love it.
And I bought it on the spot.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. Wait, I love this side of
Coventry upholstery. Love
this is
that.
this is vinegar.
Oh, she's in there.
Oh,
guys.
vinegar's in there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is one I'm very curious for
Okay.
you. Bubble and smocked clothing on children after the age of 2.
Heck yes.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
I wasn't
yes.
sure if you'd be more like that belongs in a certain category.
Oh no.
More girls than boys or both? Like, will you put a John on your 10-year-old?
Not on my 10-year-old.
Okay.
So this is such a funny question. And I feel like you touched on this at the beginning of the conversation where you're like, if you didn't tell me you were from Northern California, like I wouldn't necessarily expect that.
Yeah.
So I have dressed my children in smocking and bows and Peter Pan collars and Mary Janes, all of that since California, since they were born. And so when we were living in Piedmont was very close to Oakland and Berkeley, which is like obviously
right?
not
Yeah.
not the epicenter of smocking and bows.
Right.
I was out to bagels with my children, and someone came up to me and asked me where we were from, and I looked at her and I was like, here, and she's like, no, you're not.
That's so
she's like,
funny.
your children don't look like you're from here, and I was like, well,
we are.
we are.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's like.
But
That's
Wow.
funny.
yes, and so my husband and I had a deal, and it was very specifically with respect to my sons, no smocking Peter Pan collars after 2.
Okay.
That's
So
why
with
I
my
asked it that way,
with my
yeah.
older son, I respected that wish. But then with my younger son, we moved to the South when he was 3, friends. So I got like re-upped for some extra overtime.
Yeah, you
got
got
it.
some overtime.
Yes.
You got like a victory lap.
I sure did.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
leaned into that so hard because he was my baby and
Yep.
because we're here where I think you can, and it's fun, and I think it's adorable.
Yes. And it's funny too because it is Southern, but it's also very English. Like it's very like that's how the royal children dress too.
Yes, it is.
So it's more just classic, I feel like,
Yeah.
than it is Southern, but it's also just very classic. Like there are stores on the Upper East Side like that too. Like just
Classic.
Yeah.
It's certainly how my husband was dressed. And so that was the origin of the 2-year-old rule. He had PTSD. I think his mother had him dressed like Little Lord Fauntleroy until he was like 7.
Oh my god, that's
so
so
he was like-
funny. Yeah, he's like, I'm not doing that to my boys.
Okay.
Annie, these were both of yours, which I really like. What about talking about religion and politics? Because you don't post about it.
I don't anymore. I used to a long time ago when, I don't know, it was something that was interesting to me. I think it was a different time in the world.
Right.
I think now things are so polarized and intense, and it causes me a lot of angst to like think about and talk about. So it's not how I want to use my platform. I don't want to debate with people. I don't find that interesting. I find it really stressful. And I just don't think that's what people come to Piss and Vinegar for. Like, I look at my goal every day. Like, I want to delight people.
Yep.
I want them to feel inspired. I want them to laugh, maybe think a little, but I certainly don't want them to feel provoked or stressed or irritated. Like, I don't, that's not my goal. And even interpersonally with friends, like, I'm just, now I don't, unless it's really close friends, I don't find it to be something that fills my bucket.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. This is so fun. So what are the goals for your brand in 2025 and beyond? Like you're really picking up momentum. You just shared with us, you just gained a ton of followers out of nowhere.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Crazy.
I told my husband it's like I'm playing Mario Brothers and I like jumped on a mushroom.
That is such a good analogy. It's like
I know, I'm like dun dun dun, dun, dun. Like I'm totally zipping through there. It's crazy.
But it's also not, there's nothing, you didn't use this word, but there's nothing lucky or random about it only because you've been at it. Like you're consistent. You didn't post one video with a voiceover about some stupid fucking trend and then it went viral. Like you've been consistently your gift guides. Like I look at the things you do and it's so much work what you do. It looks like a lot of work is what I should say.
It definitely is. But it's super fun. Like I'm having such a blast, guys. Like this is the most fun I've ever had working this hard in my entire life. Like this is like, it's such a blast. And I hope that that's what people get. I hope that like everyone that's following gets it. Like I'm delighted. Like I can't believe this is my job now. It's awesome. It is so fun. And I think
goals,
I show up every day with that. But my goals for 2025, so I have 2 super specific ones.
Okay.
One is to go viral. Maybe in a Substack space, maybe in the Instagram space. I don't know, but that's a goal for this year for sure.
Like one pop.
Yes, one like great pop where like something really hits and like resonates with like a bigger audience of people. That would feel so good. I actually told my sweet father-in-law that the other day, and he's like, what's the definition of going viral? Like, is there a metric? He wanted to know, and I'm like, I don't even know I don't know.
I know.
You just know it when it happens.
Right? Totally.
Yeah. You're like, it's a feeling.
It is.
It's when your phone's blowing up and you can't really keep up with it. And
Right. Exactly. And then my other one is I would love to get a print media feature, which actually I just got like a really exciting invitation to do that. So I feel like that goal's already been crushed. So
oh my God, congrats.
Really excited.
That's
Thank you.
amazing.
Wow.
We'll look forward to whatever that is when it comes out.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll let you guys know when it comes out.
Please.
Yeah.
What would be some of your dream publications?
Dream publications. I mean, does Martha Stewart still like?
Yeah.
Yes, please. I mean, she's like goddess.
Are you more Martha than Ina?
Oh, that is such an intense question for me. But if forced, like which one of them I would defend in a knife fight, definitely Martha. Like New York Times would be incredible. Like I don't know. But I think ultimately, like I want to be my own publication. Like my dream ultimately is I would love to write a book. And that's kind of something I've been working on for a while. I have like a collection of nonfiction essays I've been messing with. I also have actually a young adult series that I've been like writing.
What?
Wow.
I know.
That's amazing. Oh my God, I love this.
Yeah.
That's so cool too, because you're just like, first of all, I admire you for putting that out there because I feel like, do you think you would have done that 10 years ago? Just like speak that into existence?
No. No, totally. I'd be afraid to say that out loud. But now I'm like, I think I can actually make things happen.
Yes.
I think for the longest time, I was like, I'm all talk and no action. And now I'm like, I'm actually doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think maybe I'm manifesting it.
I love that.
Not to be too witchy, but
No, we're very witchy, but I feel like
Witchy.
manifesting is getting a bad rap because it's like weaponized with this like weird woo-woo culture that I like a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
We talk about astrology and everything all the time, but I do think manifestation is actually quite a bit more tangible than what's written in the stars. It's like, no, we're really just, you're having the attitude of, if we say it, if we put it out there, if we put the energy towards it, it will happen. Like that's,
Yes.
it's a little more scientific, I think, than
sure.
just being witchy.
Then
yeah.
rose-
No, I mean, it's like a
rose
Yoda
quartz.
thing, right? It's like, there is no try, there is only do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think like that's kind of like what I'm living by now is I'm just like doing it. Like Ina, I do love Ina, just to be clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
She talks a lot. She's like, I've seen her twice and she's mentioned the story both times. And this hits for me so much that you can have a lot of anxiety about what you're going to do. And like, if I start this or if I do that or if I launch this thing, you just have to jump in and do it. So she's like, you jump into the pond. You don't think like, is it going to be cold? Do I know how to swim? Like, what am I going to do when I get in there? You just have to jump in the pond and start swimming and figure it out.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, a couple years ago, I just jumped in. And I've been like just swimming and trying to figure out where I'm going.
I love that.
And that's like advice that she gave that I've like taken so to heart, and I think is something that everyone could benefit from.
I love that. I mean, the last question we always ask, and you kind of already answered it unless you have something else.
Okay.
Is everyone who listens to this, I mean, maybe for different reasons, but I think people really identify with the fact that we started this podcast about imposter syndrome as it was kind of like this meta situation where we were like, we really love to talk. We like to talk to people. We like to talk to each other. We like to research and just yap.
Yeah.
But who are we to start a podcast? And we're like, oh, like that's kind of the topic. Like this is imposter syndrome. Like, let's just own it and make this our central theme. So I think people tend to feel that same way who are listening. So for those who are listening, who might be feeling some sort of impostery way about their life, do you have any other advice for them?
Totally. So it's funny. I actually had a friend ask me this kind of in a more specific way the other day, where this person's thinking about starting an Instagram, doing something. And he's like, but I just feel like what I have to say, like, it just seems like it's so simple and other people have said it. And my response to him was, one, it's not simple to everybody. Just because it's simple or it doesn't seem like a big thing to you doesn't mean that this isn't something someone else couldn't benefit from you sharing.
Yes.
And two, nobody said it like you yet. And I think that that's the most powerful thing that like all creatives can benefit from is maybe someone else has written the book or done the comedy special or made the TikTok video, but you didn't do it yet.
Yeah.
And it's your voice and your perspective that makes it special and worth, people looking at and spending their time on.
That's really, really, people need to remember that more.
That's huge
You
advice.
are you, which is what makes what you want to do different.
100%.
Yeah.
Like that's such good advice, and that's something I actually constantly remind myself, because like I feel like a dime a dozen, and then
You're
I'm like,
not.
this space is so saturated, and what am I doing here? And then it's like, well, no one's done it. I have not done this.
That's right.
And that's what I bring to the table. And same with you with all of your.
Yes. Oh, I think we covered it.
That was so much fun,
Oh,
Heather.
now I'm
thank
about
you.
to get a UPS delivery.
Oh wow, lots
Sorry,
of
guys.
Man, it's really busy here at your house today.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he drove by. I think he drove by. Phew.
Oh, no, he's back
Oh,
in.
no,
Whoa.
he's back in the truck in.
very active delivery day here at HQ.
Maybe it's matching socks for your kids.
Yes, it's Bombas. They actually they had a live feed and they're sending socks.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Oh my gosh, guys, thank you for having me. This
Thank you
was
for
so
coming.
fun.
So fun. We need to, a couple goals I have, to have cocktails with you for sure.
Yes, please. At Sperry's. I'll
At
bring my
Sperry's.
jar.
Bring your
Yes.
jar. And really just like continuing to look to you for advice and taste making, and just like, I love your approach to being a creator. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Ooh, I have one last one.
Okay.
Approved or not approved? More than 2 cocktails.
I mean, approved, guys.
Hell
Great.
yeah.
Just
Yay.
don't drive home, take an Uber.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
I love it. Well, this is amazing. This has been Joelle.
This has been Annie.
And Heather.
Oh yeah. And we will catch you next time. Thanks for
Thank
listening.
you.